Kirti Sahu. Welcome you all to this learning video on Fourier transform. This is a part 2 of the Fourier transform. In the previous video lecture, we have introduced the topic Fourier transform and we have seen some example for evaluation of Fourier transform. So here in this video lecture, we shall see few more important examples on Fourier transform. So let's begin with first example. Find the Fourier transform of f of x is equal to 1 minus x square. Interval is mod of x less than 1 and 0 when mod x is greater than 1. Hence, evaluate this. So this problem consists of two parts. First is to find out the Fourier transform for this given function and then to show the value of integral or to evaluate the value of integral. So let's see how it can be done. So first of all, you should understand what is the meaning of mod x less than 1. What does it mean? What are the values of x taken? So for this, I would like to go in the real number system. So this is the real line, right, where we have extended real line system minus infinity to infinity. Now as mod of x less than 1 is given, so we will have the 2 points minus 1 and 1. So the values, all values between minus 1 to 1, which is shown by this green arrow, is nothing but mod of x less than 1. So mod of x less than 1 means x lies between minus 1 to 1. Whereas the portion on the real line system beyond this, that is all the points before minus 1 and all the points after 1, that is when x is between minus infinity to minus 1 and when x is between 1 to infinity, are covered in the range mod of x less than 1. So this is known to us. This I am going to use while evaluating the integral. So let's start with, as I want the Fourier transform, so let's start with the definition. Fourier transform of f of x denoted by f of s is equal to 1 by root 2 pi integral minus infinity to infinity of f of x e raised to power isx, right? Now here we will substitute f of x. So just now we have seen what are the different definition of f of x, that it is 1 minus x square when x is between minus 1 to 1 and beyond that range it takes the value 0. So accordingly we will split this interval minus infinity to infinity into 3 subintervals. You can see the 3 subintervals. First is this one shown by this pink dashed arrow. Second is minus 1 to 1 shown by green arrow, and third is 1 to infinity shown by again pink. So accordingly we will divide this given interval minus infinity to infinity into 3 subintervals. First is minus infinity to minus 1. From minus infinity to minus 1, f of x is taking the value 0. So we have 0. The next is minus 1 to 1. Over here f of x is 1 minus x square as defined. And then for 1 to infinity, again f of x takes the value 0. So this is according to definition of f of x. Obviously first and third integral vanishes, so we will have to just simplify the second one. Again here we find the product of two functions, out of which one is a algebraic. So in such a case we will use the Bernoulli formula, that is successive integration by parts. So let's apply successive integration by parts. This will be my first function 1 minus x square and e power isx will be a second function. So applying Bernoulli formula, what we have, first function as it is, integration of e power isx will be e power isx upon is, then minus sign, then derivative of previous first term, that is minus 2x, again integration of previous second terms. Likewise this would be continued till we get 0. So after this term we find that when I will take the derivative of minus 2 I will get 0. So therefore the integration is complete. Now integration is complete, so we can apply the upper as well as lower limit. So you can see here when I will put lower limit as well as upper limits, first term completely vanishes. So I will have the simplification only because of the second and third term. So on putting upper limit as well as lower limit, we will have such type of simplification. See here, I will have the term 1 by I cube, which is nothing but I, and I square is minus 1. These two is standard formula we are going to use for simplification. Now here we can see that here we have form e power I theta plus e power minus I theta. So that is nothing but 2 cos 2 cos theta, right? So some adjustment need to be done. So we will have to multiply and divide by 2i, right? Because I want here for cosine function multiplying and dividing by 2. Whereas here we have e power I theta minus e power minus I theta. So this produces the cosine sine formula, trigonometric sine formula, provided here we should have in the denominator 2i. So I have to multiply and divide by 2i in the second term, whereas in the first term multiplying and dividing by 2. So what will 2 in the first term and 2i by the second term. So what we have? We will have first term will reduce to cos s by s square and second term will reduce to sin s by s cube. So this is nothing but a required Fourier transform. Now we wish to evaluate the integral. So for evaluation of integral, we will always take the inverse Fourier transform. So taking inverse Fourier transform, this is the definition of inverse Fourier transform. Again, as I know f of s, that is Fourier transform, we will use this over here, right? Now, as the integral is from minus infinity to infinity, so we find it very difficult to evaluate. So in such a case, we will make use of the property of definite integral. So that is nothing but integral minus a to a f of x dx is 2 times 0 to a f of x dx if f of x is even and is 0 if f of x is odd. So in this case, we will have to first write this e raised to power minus I sx as cos sx minus I sin sx, right? So what we find, I'll multiply this complete term with cos sx. So this cos sx is even function as well as this also even. So therefore this comes out to be the even. Hence its value will be 2 times 0 to infinity, whereas this sin sx will be odd and this function is also even. So the product of even with odd function will be odd. So therefore second integral means the integral corresponding to sin sx will reduce to 0, right? So this is the evaluation of integral. Now I wish to obtain cos in the desired result. What I want? We want cos of s 1 by 2. So here we will put x as 1 by 2. So on putting f of x as 1 by 2 everywhere in this above equation. So what we have? We have such type of expressions. Now, but the value of f of 1 by 2, as 1 by 2 falls in the first range. See, 1 lies between minus 1 to 1. So therefore f of x is what? 1 minus x square. So here we will put x as 1 by 2. So what we will get? It will reduce to 3 by 4. So we will put that value of f of 1 by 2 over here on the left hand side. So we have such type of expression, just rearranging the terms. So we will have such integral. This is nothing but a desired result. But the only thing is that here we want in place of s, x. So according to the requirement, we will do the replacement that is allowed. So just replace s by x. So we will have such type of expression, and this is nothing but a desired value of the given integral. So in this way, one can find out the value of integral just by making use of concept of inverse Fourier transform. So I hope this problem is clear to you all. Now let's move to the next example. So find the Fourier transform of f of x, which is given as e raised to power minus x square by 2, which is nothing but e raised to power minus s square by 2. So here answer is also given, and here we have to use this identity as and when required for simplification. So function under consideration is e raised to power minus of x square by 2. Let's check. As I told you, whenever it's question of evaluation of Fourier transform, so we can first go for checking whether a function is even and odd. So that if it is even, we will take Fourier cosine transform, and if the Fourier is a function is odd, then we can take Fourier cosine transform. In the previous video lecture, in the previous example also, we can apply the same concept, that is to check whether a function is even or odd. So previous problem can also be solved by Fourier cosine transform, as the function given is nothing but a even. Okay, but I have shown you how to solve directly without checking the function as even and odd for evaluation of Fourier transform. So here function is even, so we take Fourier cosine transform. Let's quickly have the formula for Fourier cosine transform. So this is the formula. Here we will substitute f of x. The range is not given, it means it is over the complete range. So f of x is e raised to power minus x square by 2. Now the question is how to simplify this, right? Because we know the integration of the form e raised to power ax into cos bx, but here it is not e raised to power ax, it is x square. So how to solve such integration? So the next part is very much important, so please observe this carefully. So let's denote for the time being this integral by I of s. Obviously it will be a function of s. Now here I am going to make use of differentiation under integral sign. We have seen in the previous classes that how to use Leibniz first rule and Leibniz second rule for differentiation under integral sign. So here we will differentiate both the side with respect to s, as it is a function of parameter s. Now what we find, the derivative of integral right hand side is nothing but integral of partial derivative. This is according to Leibniz first rule of differentiation under integral sign. Why the first rule is applicable? Because limits are constant. So when both the limits are constant, then we apply the Leibniz first rule of differentiation under integral sign. Otherwise the second rule is applicable. So what will be its partial derivative with respect to s? Obviously this e raised to power minus of x square by 2 is constant, only term differential with this cos sx. So let's differentiate. So it comes out to be, remember differentiation is with respect to s. So it comes out to be derivative of cos is minus sin sx, and then derivative of sx is with respect to s is x. So in this way we have a differentiation, right? Let's arrange the term. So you can find here, this is nothing but derivative of e raised to power minus x square by 2, right? The term inside the bracket can be replaced by derivative of e raised to power minus x square by 2. So what we have, so here we'll apply successive integration by parts. I'll take the derivative term as a second function and this sine function as a first function. So according to integration by parts, what I'll have, so it is first function, then integration of derivative, right? See here, note one correction, it is not ddt, it is ddx. It is ddx, derivative with respect to x, okay? So now the integration of derivative when both the variables are same is e raised to power minus x function itself, that is e raised to power minus x square by 2. Then minus integration of derivative of sin sx will be cos sx into s, because it is derivative with respect to x. And then again integration of derivative, so we'll get cancelled, you will get function itself. The integration is done, right? So here we will simplify. You can see here this is nothing but same as I, right? If I'll take s outside, the remaining term is nothing but I. So we will have such type of expression, whereas this first term for the given limits will reduces to 0. E raised to power minus infinity will make this 0, and for lower limit sine of 0 will be 0. So first term is completely 0 for our given limits. So this is 0. Now this is I. So minus si. Now rearranging, obtaining variable separable form. So this is variable separable form. And now integrating, integration of 1 by I with respect to I will be log I is equal to, then integration of minus s will be minus s square by 2 plus c. Taking antilog, we will have this type of term. So this is equation number 3. Now this would be the required solution, provided we should know the value of constant. So let's work for evaluating the constant c. So for this, what we will do, we will put s is equal to 0 in equation 3 as well as in a given equation which I have denoted by 2. Right, so let's see what is the equation number 2. So this is our equation 2. So if I put s as 0, so cos of 0 is nothing but 1, and we are left with e raised to power minus of x square by 2 from 0 to infinity. So this value is known to us as it is given in the problem. It is nothing but under root of pi by 2. So therefore, on putting s is equal to 0, what we get, I of 0 will be root pi by 2, okay, into root 2 by pi. So that comes out to be 1. You can see here. So we get 1. Similarly, on putting s is equal to 0 in equation 3, so we have e raised to power 0, that is 1 into e raised to power c by law of indices. So 1 into e raised to power c is e raised to power c. So we have equation 4 and 5. Now just comparing this, so what we are getting, e raised to power c is equal to 1. So for what value of c this e raised to power c will be 1? So that is for c equal to 0. Okay, so putting c equal to 0 in this equation 3, as we have evaluated its value, so therefore the desired solution I of s is e raised to power minus s square by 2. Let's see what is I of s. I of s is nothing but this given integral Fourier cosine transform. Okay, so therefore required Fourier cosine transform is nothing but e raised to power minus s square by 2. So in this way, by using the concept which we have already learned in our lower classes, one can simplify the Fourier transform. Now let's have the next example in the sequence is that find Fourier sine transform of. So here again, as I want Fourier sine transform explicitly, we will write its formula. Accordingly, we will substitute f of s, and now the next part is the simplification of this integral. So again, I am going to use the Leibniz first rule, as limits are 0 to infinity. So I have denoted this equation by I of s, differentiating and then applying Leibniz first rule. So we have, according to Leibniz first rule, derivative of integral is integral of partial derivative. Now simplifying this, so you will find such type of simplification. Remember, it is partial derivative with respect to s. So these two terms will be constant, take it outside, just differentiate this one. So that comes out to be minus x cos sx. Now here xx will get cancelled. So we have such type of simplification, and now this is in the standard formula. So apply the standard formula of the form integral e raised to power ax cos bx. So you will have such type of simplification. Applying the limits, we will get this. Now our aim is to obtain I. So let's integrate both the side with respect to I. Now what is the integration of this? So integration of 1 upon s square plus a square is nothing but 1 by a tan inverse of s by a. A is already there, so that will get cancelled. So it simply reduces to tan inverse of s by a plus constant of integration. Again, I wish to obtain this constant of integration. So according to the definite differentiation on the integral side, what we will do, we will put c is equal to 0 in equation 3 as well as equation which we have denoted in the beginning by I of s, that is equation number 2. Okay, so in both the cases, if I'll put in equation number 2, we will get I of 0. If I'll put s as 0, sin 0 is 0, so this complete integral is 0. So I of 0 is equal to 0 according to equation 2, and equation 3 implies tan inverse of 0. What is tan inverse of 0? That is also 0 plus c. So we have c is equal to 0. So c, I of 0 is c and I of 0 equal to 0. Comparing these two, you will get c is equal to 0. Put this in equation number 3, you will get required I, that is tan inverse of s by a. I is nothing but the Fourier sine transform. Right, you can see I is nothing but the Fourier sine transform, this one. Okay, so this we will put, so it is root 2 by pi into tan inverse of s by a. So this is required Fourier sine transform. So I hope the problem is clear to you all. In the next video lecture, we will see how to evaluate the integral equation using the concept of Fourier transform. Thank you all for watching the video.